Yesterday's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's headlines. Most are still asleep and I ain't talking about no bedtime. The truth is not a Google search, you need to get your head right. The Greek goddess of illusion was called Media I'm not a coincidence theorist, I look for thread lines. Smashing every deadline, no longer smashing red wine. Though I can hear the bells chime, it feels like the end times. That probably should have been smashed on red wine, but the carnal mind is foolish. Obey and end up ghoulish. Don't get used by instinct, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of earnest music, earn a few quid, learn a few tricks. Sure, the truth is persecuted, this whole world is pure abusive. Know a bit about everything and everything about nothing. Figured out my noggin while you picture out shopping. You sit about watching while I dish it out. Stop it, I don't mean to sound cocky, I'm not even proud of it. It's a second itch to me, just to be out honest. I don't even need to sound honest, never been about profit. Everything but out on it, you can bet your house on it. Doubt I'll be out for the count when the sounds, and I'm down for the beat, no beat down. I mean, how long's it been? Help me out. I've been the only one who's held me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Still sick with it, healthy how? Few bars down and the world freaked out. I don't reach out, I seek out to speak out. I'ma recount the reasons they beat out.
Hey, yo, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in this beautiful world. I'm your host, Joseph Daniel Pena. This is the 509 Divine Pines podcast. Today, we have no guest. We have me. I'm your host, and you are my guest. I am giving you some news. That is all. You know, some cannabis news, some military news, some Egypt news. And we're going to run through on that conspiracy behind Balenciaga. Yeah, I hate saying that name. Shame. Hey, guys, thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, and share. Tell your friends and roll a joint. Chill out, relax, and get high. Be blessed. You know what I mean? Just really get that vibrancy going on in your life. I want you guys to go ahead and check out my sponsors over at naturalaction.com for premium water filters. In a day and age where radiation and plastic and metals are constantly flooding through your water and your pipelines, Natural Action has the solution. They have portable water filters, industrial water filters, and water filters for your house. I can offer you a 10% discount for $2,500 orders or less, or 20% discount for $2,500 or more purchases. But if you want to go ahead and get a 30% discount, hit me up. I can save you like $1,000 or more on these premium water filters made by natural materials. And also, go visit boomerboost.com and use coupon code 509 Divine Punch for 20% off your order. For premium supplements, they got powerful lignans, probiotics. They have barley that's been referenced for thousands of years, a 70 nutrient blend, and just a whole bunch of premium products that are organic, natural, and made for your mind, body, and soul. Ooh. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get to some news. Study has uniquely beneficial effects on people with bipolar disorder. Hey, you know, that's a big thing. Look at all of Hollywood. They're like straight up bipolar. Look at the CNN and Fox people. They're straight up bipolar. Although psychotherapy and pharmaceutical medications are typically recommended for treating specific disorders like bipolar, a new study has found that cannabis could have uniquely beneficial effects for those affected. Around 46 million people around the world have symptoms of bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is generally characterized by atypical shifts in mood, energy, activity, concentration, and ability to move through the day-to-day tasks. It's known for causing ranging, sometimes erratically shifting moods, ranging from a manic, energized high and up to more depressive periods, leaving people feeling low or down, often sad, indifferent, or demotivated. There are 3 types of bipolar disorder. Each involves similar changes, though bipolar 1 disorder is characterized by high and low periods lasting for at least 7 days, sometimes lasting weeks at a time. Bipolar 2 is characterized by less severe episodes, and cyclothymic disorders references reoccurring hypomanic and depressive symptoms not intense enough to qualify as bipolar 1 or bipolar 2. episodes. Researchers referenced in studies presented at the Neuroscience 2022 conference that cannabis use is already highly prevalent among people with bipolar disorder. The question was exactly how helpful is cannabis in alleviating the symptoms? To pin down the effects of cannabis on those with bipolar, researchers recruited people with and without the disorder, along with cannabis users and non-users in each group, analyzing each combination. Participants were tested on cognitive battery, measuring risky decision-making, reward learning, and sustained attention. Ultimately, researchers confirmed that cannabis indeed could holds some special benefits for those with bipolar, specifically in helping to reduce risky decision making. Researchers also just suggested that cannabis reduces the dopaminergic activity in the brain, which helps suppress symptoms, and found that cannabis has moderate effects on punishment sensitivity and sustained attention. Chronic cannabis use was associated with modest improvement in some cognitive functions. Cannabis use was also associated with normalization of risky decision making and effortful motivation in people with bipolar disorder, but not healthy participants. Thus, chronic cannabis use may have uniquely beneficial effects in people with bipolar disorder. Researchers also cited previous studies which suggested that some people with bipolar disorder have increasingly dopaminergic acid because of the reduced dopamine transporter expression. Because chronic cannabis use is shown to reduce dopamine release, chronic cannabis use could result in return to dopamine homeostasis, which in turn could help normalize their deficits in goals directed towards behavior. They concluded they are engaging in additional studies in order to explore the potential. And many folks with bipolar already treat their symptoms with cannabis, and many regions with legal medicine consider it a qualifying condition. This is far from the first study looking at cannabis and bipolar disorder. Historically, other researchers have also found positive correlations between cannabis and bipolar symptom management. Researchers from Harvard Medical School and McLean Hospital and Tufts University found a link between cannabis and improved symptoms in bipolar disorder in 2018 clinical trial data, also confirming cannabis does not negatively impact cognitive performance. They also found that cannabis use resulted in reduced scores for depression, anger, and tension. More generally, a 2020 review conducted by the University of Mexico researchers found that cannabis effectively treated symptoms of depression. A 2020 BMC psychiatry report also found that a whole plant cannabis and plant-based cannabinoids effectively improve moods and sleeps, reduce anxiety, and promote antipsychotic action. I could have told you that. Like, legitimately, I've been a huge proponent of cannabis and the medical usage and how it affects the neurochemistry, how it affects our psychology, how it affects our well-being and emotions. And I completely agree. I started using cannabis about 10 years ago to balance my emotions, to balance my just instability, my imbalanced moods. And yeah, like, eventually I started balancing myself, and I found happiness. I found love. I found peace. I was not depressed anymore. Yeah. Yeah, guys, look at this. And look at this. CBD oil for chronic fatigue syndrome right here, the next article. CBD oil hasn't been proven as a safe or effective treatment for chronic fatigue syndrome, but there are some promising findings for CBD treatment and other conditions such as fibromyalgia syndrome. Yet chronic fatigue is an extremely difficult illness to manage, and interest in treating chronic fatigue syndrome with CBD products remains, especially as many people find little relief from fatigue, headache, joint pain, and other symptoms with conventional treatments. This article explains how CBD differs from marijuana, what is known about any benefit about chronic fatigue syndrome. CBD stands for cannabidiol, which comes from the cannabis plant. That's the same plant that gives us marijuana. However, CBD as an oil or in other forms doesn't have any psychoactive properties. That means it doesn't provide the high, the trippiness, the hallucinations associated with marijuana. The substance in marijuana that gets you high is called THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. Growers who want to maximize the plant's psychoactive effect use breeds and techniques that result in higher levels of THC. On the other hand, cannabis that's grown for hemp is generally richer in CBD than THC, and that's where CBD comes from. CBD products are extracted from cannabis, are being used for lots of medical purposes, and you can find many claims online about miraculous results. But are these claims true? Yes. And would it work for you? Yes. From a scientific standpoint, the answers are more like yes and yes. And it depends on which claims you're looking at. People are using CBD for a whole lot of different medical purposes, including chronic pain and inflammation, including neuroinflammation, social anxiety disorder, insomnia, halting the growth of cancerous tumors, the pain of glaucoma, epilepsy, especially in children, bipolar disorder, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, schizophrenia, movement problems caused by Huntington's disease, help with smoking cessation. As of June 25th, 2018, CBD oil has been approved by the Food and Drug Administration as an oral solution for the treatment of seizures associated with two very severe forms of epilepsy that usually affect children, Lennox-Gastaut and Dravet syndromes. Research in the United States for other diseases is still in the early stages. That's because legal restrictions have for decades made it extremely difficult to study the medical benefits of marijuana and any components, which are called cannabinoids. Promising research is being done, though, on multiple conditions. Down the road, it's likely that we'll eventually see many applications submitted to the FDA. Anyone who studied chronic fatigue syndrome for very long will not be shocked to hear that. So far, there's no research evidence for CBD oil treatment for this disease, yet that doesn't mean there is no knowledge at all. Chronic fatigue syndrome is believed to stem from the dysregulation of multiple systems throughout the body. The symptoms are similar to those of influenza and can include weakness and fatigue, headache, tender lymph nodes, joint pain, and inability to concentrate. CBD is being researched for numerous conditions, and many of those conditions share features with chronic fatigue syndrome. Other studies result that apply to similar conditions don't extend to chronic fatigue syndrome, but they provide some basis for informed speculation. There are no chronic fatigue syndromes approved by the Food and Drug Administration, but the needed research on chronic fatigue syndrome is evolving. There's now a registry of more than 4,000 people living with chronic fatigue syndrome, with the U plus Me database available for scientific research on this condition. Studies are expected to advance treatment options, identify side effects, and address the needs of people living with chronic fatigue syndrome. CBD oil is believed to be effective against pain and inflammation, and in its pure form is generally regarded as safe, especially in the light of the theory that chronic fatigue syndromes is related to neuroinflammation, and the wealth of evidence pointing to it being an inflammatory disease. It's pretty obvious that CBD could help with the chronic fatigue. Finally, while anecdotal evidence isn't proof of anything, we already have an abundance of it from people with chronic fatigue syndrome. When patients with difficult to treat conditions tell their healthcare provider something that works, you can bet it gets them interested. A 2017 paper published in Expert Opinion on Therapeutic Targets suggests CBD as a possible way to diminish the activity of brain cells called glia that can lead to central sensitization. That's a hypersensitive central nervous system and a major feature of chronic fatigue syndrome and other central sensitivity syndromes such as fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, and migraine. CBD is believed to help with your body's homeostasis, which is keeping things like temperature, regulation, respiration, the blood flow in proper balance. Homeostasis tends to be out of balance in chronic fatigue syndrome. While it's less documented in chronic fatigue syndrome, a condition called endocannabinoids deficiency, characterized by lower amounts of naturally produced endocannabinoids in certain individuals, has been linked to fibromyalgia, making cannabis products a promising treatment. A 2016 review published in Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research found evidence that CBD is effective in treating migraine and irritable bowel syndrome, which are related to chronic fatigue syndrome. It also stated that some cannabis-based treatments appeared effective for fibromyalgia. The author stated that CBD is often preferable to patients because it doesn't include the high and other effects of THC. As mentioned earlier, several studies have suggested that CBD can fight inflammation. That's a big deal for a disease that researchers link to chronic inflammation and possible to neuroinflammation as an underlying case. The 2017 French study on Alzheimer's disease suggests that CBD lessens oxidative stress, diminishes mitochondrial dysfunction, and suppresses pro-inflammatory activity. All of these things could help against chronic fatigue syndrome. A 2011 study out of Italy suggests that CBD may lower intestinal inflammation via control of the neuroimmune axis, while the study that was on inflammatory bowel disease changes to the neuroimmune axis could be beneficial to the chronic fatigue syndrome. All right, guys, you guys heard it. chronic fatigue syndrome, and all these other little disastrous type of things could be cured from pot, man. And if you guys don't think it, right here, look at this, man. Nevada medical pot patients can sue former employee if fired. So all of you guys hating, no, weed's not a fucking thing, and all these employers hating, get out of my job with that weed, you pothead. All of you guys need to watch your words, watch your actions, because if this goes across the whole country, so many people can sue and will sue. Nevada medical pot patients can sue former employee if fired, court rules. So, that says it right there. If you're a medical patient in Nevada and you were fired, go to your lawyer and sue your last employer. Get that money. Fuck the system. Get your money. This is an amazing win. This is a huge win. There's been millions of people targeted over cannabis use in their urine. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And now all these employers are going to start having to pay back. Good. Good. And you know what? Cannabis advocates rally after the lawsuit challenges decriminalization. The Central Administrative Court in Thailand accepted a lawsuit challenging the country's decriminalization order. Jeez. Oh no. Look at this. This is horrible. So there's a whole bunch of I mean, well, maybe this is good. I don't know. Hold on. Wait. This is good? This is good. So all I'm seeing is that there's a huge fight. There's a lot of people who want to make cannabis legal in Thailand, and then there's a lot of people who want to make it illegal. So as you still see that there's a big push, and look at that's some fire right there. That's some gas. That's some good stuff right there, dude. Look at that. I want to smoke that. Oof. Hey guys, let's continue on. Ancient DNA links an East Asian Homo sapiens woman to early Americans. A previously undetected Homo sapiens population inhabited what now southwestern China around 14,000 years ago and contributed to the ancestry of ancient Americans. So, a 14,000-year-old bone and carcass of a female Homo sapien from East Asia was found. That's her ancestry contributed from Denisovans and Neanderthals was linked to the North Americas. So, just more proof that 14,000 years ago, humans were just moving around just like we were now. Civilization is old. But we shouldn't let civilization die out. Look at this. So a natural gene drive could steer invasive rodents on islands to extinction. And the only reason that I highlight this article, this is going to be a quick one, is because right here it says genetic tweaks could render the mice infertile and eliminate populations in 25 years. So what have we seen over the last 5 to 10 years? We have started seeing a worldwide pandemic of infertility and a huge push for genetic modification, eugenics, controlling the population control, the same thing. So we're looking at the elites and their ideologies behind species and the way that they want to go ahead and tamper with us like rodents, like little guinea pigs. So this is one little aspect to one of their tools, what they want to do, their agendas. This is on rats and rodents, but it's undeniably the micro to macro. This is the small picture. The large pictures that they're using probably genetic tweaks to go ahead and make us infertile and corrupt our DNA. Well, continuing on, let's go. November 18th, 2022. Ooh, I said that too many times. Researchers discovered Egypt's oldest tomb oriented to winter solstice. Interesting. So these dudes were smart. It was oriented to the winter solstice. To think that these people from back in the day, the Egyptians, the ancestors of our ancient past, were dumb. No, 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 no. Located in the necropolis of Kubet el Hawa, it is precisely orientated to the sunrise of the winter solstice in such a way that the sun rays bathe with its light in the place that was intended to house the statue of a governor of the city of Elephantine. Interesting. Look at that. So it's pretty cool. It looks nice. These dudes were smart. Smarter than me. A next article. In photos, Egyptian missions unearth mummies with golden tongues. What? What did we just hear? Golden tongues. The discovery was made during excavations carried out in the Central Nile Delta Governorate in the past 3 months at the necropolis. The mission was also found The mission has also found a collection of clay pots, golden sheets in the shape of scarabs, and lotus flowers, as well as a number of funerary stone amulets, scarabs, and vessels in the late Egyptian, Ptolemaic, and Roman periods. The mummies with golden tongues are in bad conservation condition, said Mustafa Waziri. Waziri added the skeletons remains of the mummies covered with golden sheets, wooden anthropoid coffins, and copper traces that were once used in making coffins were also found. Ayam Ashwami, head of the ancient Egyptian antique sector, said that a newly discovered part of the necropolis has different architecture style. Ashwami explained that this discovered part of the mud brick and composed of main vaulted hall with 3 vaulted burial chambers and a burial shaft with 2 side chambers. Early studies on burials and mummies in the funerary collection found indicated that the necropolis was used during 3 different periods: the late ancient Egyptian, the Ptolemaic, and part of the Roman period. The collection reveals the changes of the architectural style of the tombs and the burying methods used in different ages. During the past archaeological seasons, the mission has succeeded in uncovering a collection of tombs, remains of buildings, mummies, coffins, and sarcophagi, including a huge anthropoid sarcophagus covered in black granite for one of the senior priests of Atribis, today's Bana in Kuleaboya Governorate north of Cairo. So very interesting. Very, very interesting. So these are gold pieces of paper and just a whole bunch of gold. Gold. All right, guys, let's continue forward. The U.S. Navy tried to turn whale songs into secret code. Did I just hear that right? An American submarine desperately needed to get in contact with other ships in the U.S. Navy. The Soviet anti-marine submarine aircraft and warships are on the hunt, listening for any clues as to its whereabouts. During the search, the sonar operators hear a pod of whales singing to each other and don't give it another thought. However, what they just heard was actually the sub using a secret covert communications system that mimics sea mammal noises. Whoa! Marine animal sounds are common and prominent components of the natural underwater sonic environment. Military communications based on natural animal sounds confound detection by even informed enemy surveillance because the message is but a small portion of the total biological chorus. Submariners and their boats have long proven their worth for patrolling large areas, discreetly performing surveillance missions, and quietly inserting elite troops and agents behind enemy lines. Roving ballistic missile submarines, which are especially hard for opponents to locate and target, are a key component of the America's nuclear triad. They call it the silent service. So rapidly communicating and sharing information with other friendly forces was a persistent problem. One of the underlying problems was that radio waves simply don't travel well through salt water. As radars, sonars, and other sensors continued to improve after World War II, a submarine riding on the surface sending signals home increasingly risked giving away its position. The boats could use sound to send messages while submerged. Unfortunately, sub hunters could keep their ears open for those artificial noises too. Submarines could broadcast very low frequency messages while submerged, but had to relatively be close to the surface. An antenna and tethered buoy might allow crews to send and receive messages from greater depths, but enemy aircraft and ships could still intercept and zero in on the transmission. This is where the combo gear came in. The basic plan was to develop coded messages from recordings of whales, dolphins, sea lions, and seals. The submarine would broadcast the noises, and the computer, the combo signal recognizer, would detect the specific patterns and decode them on the other end. In theory, this idea was relatively simple. As work progressed, the Navy found a number of complicated problems to overcome, the bulk of which centered on the authenticity of the code itself. The message structure couldn't just substitute the moaning of a whale or a crying seal as for A's and B's or even the whole words. In addition, the sounds Navy technicians recorded between 1959 and 1965 had all natural background noise. With the technology available, it would have been hard to scrub that out. Repeated blasts of the same sounds with identical extra noise would stand out to even untrained sonar operators. And that's not even getting into how all sea life lives in the same regions or talks the same way. Using a whale or porpoise code in an area that those animals didn't live might expose the whole system. You might want to be broadcasting mating calls. You wouldn't want to be broadcasting mating calls when it wasn't mating season either. These speculations presume a knowledgeable interpreter. Nevertheless, it was a very real set of concerns for the combo team. In the end, the Navy recorded more than a dozen different sound species in the wild. Researchers determined that the whales with cosmopolitan occurrence in multiple regions, such as pilot and killer whales, would probably be the best for combo's needs. Their songs remain more consistently audible underwater over reasonable distances than many small marine mammals too. In 1970, the Defense Administration research agency DARPA, the Pentagon's top advanced research and development arm, became involved with the combo. The organization put up the funds to synthesize the recorded sounds into a useful audio library. Naval ship systems sponsored the work on the actual communications equipment. Crafting a flexible code from the audible collection turned out to be too difficult. The ultimate solution was to match specific recordings to predetermined messages. A submarine or other ship would play the sounds, and the CS would improve CSR2 would display an arbitrary numeric code. The receiving crew would then consult a code book to figure out the meaning. To improve the reliability of the system, Combo's gear would pump out the same message 3 times at varying frequencies. The CSR could then double check to make sure it had detected the right message. If the computer couldn't figure the things out, the LED display would light up the word bad. The Combo system would pump out pilot whale sounds on any of the 9 preset frequency bands. To protect the code's integrity, depending on the particular day, the operators would only use specific frequencies as indicated in their code book. On top of that, the full recordings would bury the specific meaningful notes inside a long track full of arbitrary, natural sounding ambient noise. The Navy understood that these messages would have to contain low data, such as "I am a friendly ship" or "Mines ahead." These prearranged communications would not be able to include the details specific. In 1973, the service conducted 2 series of underwater tests near Santa Catalina Islands, one of the California's Channel Islands near the city of Los Angeles. Static speakers and receivers sent and received 6 pre-configured messages at the distance of 5, 10, and 20 miles. In the first round, technicians placed all the devices at depth, approximately 150 feet. They almost doubled that to 250 feet for the second set of experiments. The equipments worked perfectly according to NOCS. The original CSR computer successfully translated every sent message to the 5 and 10 mile distance, and 90% of the sent messages at 20 miles. The next year, the diesel-electric research submarine USS Dolphin successfully exchanged a number of messages with the ship on the surface, and noises even reportedly attracted a number of whales. In 1975, the Navy performed more static experiments with revised codes, but simply to gauge how much distortion there might be underwater as sounds traveled between 3 and 16 miles from the source. So, these guys have been using some very powerful methods of mimicking animals and their speech. Now, when people talk about are birds fake and can birds be fake, and guys, you just gotta look at this, and then you can look at this. Operation Acoustic Kitty, the CIA's would-be cat spy. Da-da-da. The CIA had the idea to stick a microphone in a cat's ear and embed a radio transmitter in their body. They tried to create a feline Operation Acoustic Kitty. In an hour-long procedure, a veterinary surgeon transformed the furry feline into an elite spy, implanting the microphone into her ear canal and a small radio transmitter at the base of her skull, and weaving a thin wire antenna into her long gray and white fur. This was Operation Acoustic Kitty, a top-secret plan to turn a cat into a living, walking surveillance machine. Dun-dun-dun. The leaders of the project hoped that by training the feline to go sit near foreign officials, they could eavesdrop on private conversations. The problem was that cats are not especially trainable. They don't have the same deep-seated desire to please a human master that dogs do, and the agency's RoboCat didn't seem terribly interested in national security. For its first official test, CIA staffers drove Acoustic Kitty to the park and tasked it with capturing the conversations of two men sitting on the bench. Instead, the cat wandered into the street, where it was promptly squashed by a taxi. The project made even hardened operators squeamish. In 2001, a former CIA agent gave the Telegraph newspaper even some more details about the animal. They slit the cat open, put batteries in him, wired him up. The tail was using an antenna. They made a monstrosity. For Andes, though, Acoustic Kitty is only one in a long lifetime of military cyborg creations, one that's been unrestrained by moral considerations. We can make tiny flying cyborgs and a whole lot more. Engineers, geneticists, and neuroscientists are controlling animal minds in different ways and for different reasons, and their tools and techniques are becoming cheaper and easier for even us non-experts to use. Before long, we may all be able to hijack animal bodies. The only question is whether we'll want to. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, guys, let's get off that for a minute. Hey, want to see a conspiracy? Check out.
I'm opened a portal and is reusing a Bluetooth speaker and sound frequency.
Thank you, Thomas. I notice here it can be used for science experiments. I would say so. Go ahead and play that. Here, find the PA tone there. Stop it before anything happens. Up here, I also have another tone generator set to 525, and I'm about to show you what will happen with that. Things happen much quicker when you're using pure tones rather than the other stuff I was using on YouTube, which had like sounds mixed in with it. There we go. 528. And already you can see a much more stable fracture. Okay. I have to do this quick because the stuff does not last. 525. You can see there's a whole range of tones here, but 525, you're going to hear. If I hear the fluctuation there.
Pay attention.
There we go. If you don't know where that is, I do. Is in Sedona. And it is a well-known vortex phenomenon. There's several of them there, and you are witnessing.
What do you guys think? That was a portal. Yo, how's it going, Ghetto Bedroom Records? So you just seen a portal right there. Is that a conspiracy or what? You see, things are looking that way at CERN. People have been talking about them creating portals at CERN. If these huge $1 million machines are blasting frequencies and trying to shred atoms, you can bet that when we see the pictures over Geneva, Switzerland, and it shows a nearly similar thing, you know, that's like that people are creating wormholes above CERN. Like we're seeing it right here. I think it's this picture. Yes, this is one of them. See this shit? This is something that's happening at CERN right here. Look at another one. So you can imagine that they're blasting frequency weapons into the world and trying to create wormholes, which is very realistic if we're looking at what the world has gone to. So here we go. Continuing on, guys. We're going to quick hit the rest of these. U.S. again delays deadline for real IDs. Remember, they have tried to create this online bullshit ID, real ID, and it's the Department of Homeland Security will not enforce real IDs until May 2025. So about 2 to 3 years. And you know what? It was supposed to pass, but they keep pushing it off. So who really knows if this shit's ever going to go through? Like, I'll be honest, probably not. But I mean, who knows? It's just something to look out on. So these would be requiring people to get new identification cards to board domestic flights, access federal facilities, and enter nuclear plants. Cool. But this isn't cool right here, guys. Next article. Chinese hackers stole more than 20 million in COVID-19 relief funds and unemployment benefits, says the Secret Service. The theft was traced as a part of a larger investigation in which 286 million was recovered in August, tracing back 15,000 fake accounts created at the Texas bank. Approximately 87 billion economic injury disaster loans have been gone missing. Oh shit, have gone missing since the federal program was formed in the COVID-19's pandemic early stages. 87 billion have gone missing, dude. Wow, dude, we're just getting robbed. So these damn Democrats probably fucking same thing, same friends as Mr. Sam Bankman-Fried and crypto shit. You know, he was sponsoring Democratic, Biden friends and all these fucking terrorists. The latest development identifies a hacking group called APT41 as a culprit, a Chinese state-sponsored cyber threat group. So a state sponsored by Chinese security. And, we owe China. And if you want to bet your ass, our American politicians probably knew about this. Our American NSA and shit, they knew about this. But because we owe China, they just let them do it. The funds were stolen from 12 states, but it could be more widespread. More than 1,000 investigations are ongoing involving both domestic and international hackers. The scope of this Chinese government's involvement is unclear. I've never seen China target government money before. This would be an escalation. Well, guys, you guys are about to trip out for this next one. Let's go. December 5th, 2022. U.S. funded Chinese lab for intelligence op. American technologies transferred to China resulted in the COVID-19 pandemic, a former EcoHealth Alliance executive claims. U.S. funded bio-research on foreign soil appears to be giant intelligence operation for assessing bio-warfare capabilities. Collecting and tinkering with bat coronavirus in China ultimately resulted in the accidental release of SARS-2 COVID, the infection that causes COVID-19. Dr. Andrew Huff once worked as the vice president of EcoHealth Alliance, an NGO involved in funneling U.S. taxpayer dollars to bio research projects around the world. One of them was conducted at the Wuhan Institution of Virology. Was the origin of the COVID-19 pandemic. On both Beijing and Washington were involved in massive cover-up. On Saturday, British tabloid The Sun reported on the allegiances, which Huff has detailed in an upcoming book. According to the revelations, in 2009, EcoHealth Alliance launched a program called Predict, funded by foreign aid agency USAID. It was aimed at collecting samples of potentially harmful diseases throughout the world, ostensibly to prepare humanity for potential outbreaks. The Wuhan lab was one of the foreign partners of the program, studying coronavirus in bats. According to the whistleblower, who has a background in bioweapons threat assessment for the U.S. military, the Predict program was not collecting the data that it should have, but appeared to be an intelligence operation for assessing foreign biolab capabilities. Huff was also involved in assessing a 2004 funding proposal for gain of function research at the Wuhan Institution of Virology. The work was funded through EcoHealth Alliance by the U.S. National Institute of Health. Gain of function is the modification of pathogens to enhance them in various potential ways, including transmissibility. The rationale is that scientists can now study new strains and find ways to stop them before similar adaptations emerge naturally. EcoHealth Alliance was responsible for the development of the agent SARS-CoV-2 during my employment of the organization. He believes the virus was created at the Wuhan lab with technology it received from the U.S. and accidentally leaked into the general population. It could reasonably argue that EcoHealth Alliance set up China to fail. Whoo, man. So you guys hear it, man. Look at things, big things are coming up, about China and their destruction. But let's go ahead and continue on. It sure seems like Elon Musk is purging left-leaning Twitter accounts. So, Elon Musk is all over the news. He just dropped a whole bunch of Hunter Biden shit. He's not really a good dude, but he is purging all these far lefts, which is karma, man. For 5 to 10 years, these guys have been purging us. Let's just say free thinkers. I'm not claiming right or left, but let's just say free thinkers. The left has been purging us off all social medias, banning us, blocking us, lying about us, terrorizing us, intermingling with our freaking relationships by calling us fake news, by making friends of 20 some years think that we're terrorists, domestic terrorists, for making our family think that we are conspiracy theorists. Look, dude, this is bullshit. I'm glad that karma is being dished right back at him. Fuck Elon Musk, though. Continue on. You know why? Because look at this. Monkey see, monkey do is a article from the sun.co.uk. Inside Elon Musk Neuralink test left monkeys dying and chewing off fingers. Piece of shit. Elon Musk. So, they showed the monkey playing Pong, but they didn't show the other 20 monkeys fucking eating their own brains out. So based in San Francisco Bay and Austin, Texas, where Austin, Texas is also the Satanic Church headquarters. You can bet that fucking Elon Musk is satanic with this one. All right, let's continue on. Pentagon Papers whistleblower Daniel Ellsberg was WikiLeaks' secret backup. In case something happened to Julian Assange, Mr. Daniel Ellsberg, was the secret backup. I had possession of all the Chelsea Manning information before it came out to the press. Mr. Ellsberg said Mr. Assange could rely on me to find some way to get the information out. Oh, wow. So in 1971, Mr. Ellsberg was a U.S. military analyst who had leaked Pentagon Papers and was deemed the most dangerous man in America by Henry Kissinger. Mr. Ellsberg leak led to a Supreme Court case. The government lost the case, and the publications of the documents in New York Times and other organizations resumed. Oh, so this dude won against the government. When you bet on the government, 99% of the times you don't win. Let's see, your name is Daniel. Damn, Daniel, back at it again with the governmental win. Yeah, I'm Daniel. So you know what? Cheers to that, man. Hey, people always talk about how, it'd be weird if like we seen a foreign country flying over, you know what? But like that is allowed. So I'm gonna go ahead and explain. There is a thing called the Open Skies Treaties that allows members of the countries that are in it to conduct surveillance flights over each other's territory relatively unimpeded. The aircraft are equipped with imaging equipment with specific limitations and monitors from the country being surveilled are on board the flights to make certain the party complies with parameters of the treaty. The latest came from Russian open skies flights being conducted out of Great Falls, Montana. I mean, this was about 4 years ago, guys. 3 years ago, 2019. But it's still very relevant because this is Russia and them flying over America. So they also flew over the highly secure Nellis test and training range above Area 51. Now, this appears to have originated out of Travis Air Force Base, located near San Francisco, and highlights a tour of American military installations in California and Nevada. It flew south over Central California, passing near bases like Naval Air Station Lemoore, and headed out over Channel Islands. It then directly headed towards Edwards Air Force Base before meandering around Fort Irwin and onto the Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake before hooking it right and heading towards Creech Air Force Base in Nevada. It then headed north directly towards the NTTR, the most secure airspace in the United States, along with Washington, D.C. So this Russian plane was flying over all of our best military bases. After it flew over Creech Air Force Base, it headed up to the Yucca Flat, where one of America's nuclear weapons assembly plants is located, and a secretive airstrip that specializes in test flights of unmanned aircraft, as well as other sensitive Department of Energy installations, and then headed over the pockmarked Nevada test site, Area 51, just sits east to the site. The voyage continued north with Tonopah Test Range to the east before heading northwest towards Salt Lake. It passed somewhat near Dugway Proving Grounds on its way back to Great Falls. Jesus Christ. A flight before this one saw the Tu-154 check out of Salt Lake and Hill Air Force Base, Las Vegas, and Nellis Air Force Base, pretty much all of San Diego and up the Southern California coast, which has plenty of military bases and weapons storage areas. It then flew directly to Plant 42 in Palmdale before climbing up and headed to Travis Air Force Base to land and refuel. Right, so, America's flying hot over there and Russia's flying hot over here. But if you want to know why they're specifically over Area 51, this might point to it. The Air Force is accelerating its advanced combat drone development efforts, and the facility's unique attributes seem perfect for supporting them. So the Area 51 is seemingly creating a huge drone site, which is interesting. We know that there's a lot of space out there, so they have freedom to like test a lot of drones if they needed to. So we're just looking through pictures of Area 51. And, over time, more and more hangars are being created. So remember, these are just like the public pictures kind of, right? And it was just like a week or 2 ago, 3 weeks ago, that one of the Area 51 researchers got arrested and it was his friend that also got arrested about 10 years ago. So two of the biggest Area 51 researchers got arrested recently. Well, in the last, yeah, you know what I mean. It's wild. Let's continue on, guys. All right, we're gonna finish this up, man. Right here, check this out. We're gonna look at the Balenciaga rabbit hole. All right, guys. Here we go.
The 2022 world-renowned century-old high-fashion brand Balenciaga dropped their holiday season ad campaign for 2022 titled Gift Shop. The campaign quickly went viral due to the public becoming concerned, then outraged over the fact that the ad campaign was centered around photos featuring children holding teddy bears that had black eyes, fishnets, harnesses, or were overall BDSM themed. News sites almost immediately labeled the social media outrage as a wacky conspiracy theory, but this did not stop the iconic brand making multiple apology statements and removing all of the advertisements. And in the following days, as people began to dig deeper into the company's internet activity over the years, they removed their Twitter handle and nuked their Instagram account, which is sitting at over 14 million followers. So, what were they trying to hide? Was this just a surface level instance of bad taste, a reckless mistake, or a representation of a dark element among the elite inner circle of the fashion industry? In this video, I'll be covering every bit of relevant information I could find while watching this play out over the last couple weeks. Even if this were a one-time incident, I'd still have a lot of questions due to the amount of scrutiny and planning that goes into these luxury brand ad campaigns. Every detail is carefully pored over by artists, editors, designers, and often full committees to ensure success. Meaning that even if the gift shop holiday ad campaign pictures were the only issue, it would still be a major red flag. In a few moments, I'll highlight some of the strange references, of which there are many, in the holiday ad campaign photos. But first, let's take a look at the ad campaign that dropped 5 days after Gift Shop. This was the 2023 Guard Robe campaign. In my opinion, some of the most shocking details were found when visiting the website's homepage and saw the 2023 Guard Robe photos. The homepage featured this photo, a promotional image advertising a collaborative campaign with Adidas. As you can see, prominently featured in this image is this document. And to break it down simply while also trying not to upset the algorithm, the case document was from the United States v. Williams, a 2008 Supreme Court ruling that upheld part of a federal CP law known as the PROTECT Act, finding it was not in violation of the First Amendment right to free speech or expression. Basically, Michael Williams had been arrested for attempting to sell CP images of his minor daughter to an FBI agent. He was arrested and charged for possession and pandering. Williams tried to argue that his crime, trying to sell exploitative images of his underage daughter, was a protective freedom of expression of some kind under the PROTECT Act of 2003, which protected virtual or animated CP imagery as long as the images were not obscene. But the Supreme Court denied this challenge. So, of all the billions of pages of court documents, the one that shows up front and center in Balenciaga's ad campaign references virtual or animated CP as a protected free speech. What are the odds this was an accident, an oversight? Well, I think the odds get drastically worse when you look at the books in the background of one of the other images from the Guard Robe campaign. The top book is by Michael Borman, who made an art book called Fire from the Sun. Just a warning, don't Google the title as the images may be disturbing. I can't risk showing any of Borman's work from Fire from the Sun because it all consists of children covered in blood, dismembered limbs, and similar disturbing, abusive iconography. Though not all of Borman's work is equally grotesque, much of it evokes a sense of dread and seems to be centered around submission, dismemberment, blood, shame, and ritual practices. One even shows men performing what looks like cannibalism. When Borman's work was shown at the David Swerner Gallery, the gallery described Mr. Borman's paintings as, quote, toddlers engaged in playful but mysterious acts with sinister overtones and insinuations of violence. Another book visible in the photo is The Cremaster Cycle. The Cremaster Cycle is a series of 5 feature-length films, sculptures, photographs, drawings, and art books. Created by American artist Matthew Barney, The Cremaster Cycle was made over a period of 8 years, 1994 to 2002, and culminated in a major exhibition at the Guggenheim Museum. Supposedly, this was actually in conjunction with some of Michael Borman's paintings. Its concept is based on the male cremaster muscle, the primary function of which is to raise and lower the testes in response to temperature. The project is filled with anatomical allusions to the position of the reproductive organs during the embryonic process of sexual differentiation. So the guy spent 8 years on a multimedia art show about nuts.
Part 2.
23 Guard Rope campaign was massive and probably had a multi-million-dollar budget, a large staff of designers, administrators, editors, etc. A-list celebrities Nicole Kidman and Bella Hadid as models, and collaborated with one of the biggest name brands in the world, Adidas. Why risk this kind of backlash? Why include the Supreme Court ruling referencing CP? Of all the books to use as props, why use one where children are displayed, drenched in blood, without clothes, in horrifying circumstances? Well, some believe the answer lies with several elite individuals that work at different levels of the iconic fashion brand, from design to casting, having connections to a dark, seedy underworld of human trafficking and worse unspeakable offenses. Before we explore those people, let's break down the images that started all of it, the initial clue that piqued the interest of concerned internet users in mid-November. The gift shop photo shoot. The first couple images, of course, show children posed with teddy bears that had black eyes, fishnet tops, leather harnesses, or a general BDSM theme, which obviously disturbed many people. It's very strange to think of combining children's items with adult items linked to sex acts, and then to have a child pose with it is at best in extremely poor taste. But this image alone is brimming with strange references. First, of course, we still have the inclusion of the BDSM bear, but look here. In the background, we see the chair has been covered in caution-style Balenciaga tape. In the foreground, we see a roll of the same Balenciaga tape, but it's not the same. This roll has an extra A, spelling Baal. Baal is a Canaanite deity dating back to Carthage in 800 BC, also sometimes referred to as Moloch. People were often worked up into great frenzies at the prospects of displeasing Baal, a god they believed could cause earthquakes and famine. In times of great turbulence, human sacrifices, particularly children, were made to this deity. The Carthaginians didn't want to sacrifice their own children, so eventually they began buying children or raising children as servants to be sacrificed in their own children's place. The mass ritualistic sacrifice of children to Baal was once thought to be a rumor, started by the Roman soldiers in order to make their enemies seem barbaric and cruel. According to the rumors, the children's ashen remains would be placed in small special urns and buried in the funerary Acropolis. However, during recent excavations, a great number of small urns were found covering the area of the funerary Acropolis, buried at 9 different levels, seemingly proving the early existence of Baal worship. To summarize, it's a bizarre inclusion in the same image as a young child. Up on the wall to the left of the child, we can see a red face. Some critics were quick to compare this face to the mythical rumored contents of a certain misplaced laptop. We aren't going there, for obvious reasons, but the blood-red face still seems disturbing and out of place. To the right on the wall, we have another odd drawing, this one again featuring the red face, or some kind of demonic horned creature. Then we have the white rabbit. And right above the white rabbit, we can observe probably the most overt example. But what does it all mean? These images feel off for obvious reasons. Some will look right past them, but many people immediately felt as though the brand had crossed a line. Maybe, by taking a look at some of the key players, we can get a better idea of what the intentions behind the photo shoots were. The first person Balenciaga began to shift the blame to was the gift shop photographer, Gabriel Galimberti. The photographer actually made a public statement to the media on November 23rd. Galimberti told Newsweek he is not responsible for the images. Quote, I am not in a position to comment. I am not in a position to comment on Balenciaga's choices, but I must stress that I was not entitled in whatsoever manner to neither choose the products, nor the models, nor the combination of the same. As a photographer, I was only and solely requested to light the given scene and take shots according to my signature style. As usual, the direction of the campaign and of the shooting are not on the hands of the photographer, end quote. Galimberti previously published a photo collection titled Toy Story that feature children in their home surrounded by their toys. He added to his statement, quote, "I suspect that any person prone to pedophilia searches on the web and has unfortunately a too easy access to images completely different than mine, absolutely explicit in their awful content. Lynchings like these are addressed against the wrong targets and distract from the real problem and criminals," end quote. Galimberti also stressed that he was not involved in the Balenciaga Adidas and the Supreme Court anti-articles. Those images were captured by New York City-based photographer Chris Maggio. At the time of recording this video, Maggio has not publicly addressed the backlash to his advertisements. But who is Maggio?
Party.
Found Maggio through Galimberti's mention of him and found this photo shoot he did that features a young girl in similar framing to the gift shop photos, a woman with an uncanny valley look, and a picture of a Czech passport on top of a Disney Cruise Line pamphlet. According to some of their old itineraries, Disney Cruises used to use Little St. James Island as a snorkeling stop. During their search into the details of this photo set, Curious Light found that the photos have been styled by Lada Volkova, one of Balenciaga's main stylists, since 2014. Volkova maintained close ties to Gosha Rubchinsky, a streetwear designer that allegedly pressured a 16-year-old minor to send lewd pictures of himself over Instagram. The accusations seem to have been lost in the fray, as Gosha's representative told GQ he often cast young men through Instagram DMs, which according to him is standard. Volkova claims to not have worked closely with Balenciaga for some time, but has also said she works with the brand as a consultant, styling for collections, fashion shows, and in casting. Her style seems to be centered around violence, abuse, and domination, usually featuring very young-looking boys. Like when she posted pictures of a juvenile detention facility, and then what appeared to be real blood on the floor. Or what is obviously a young girl's bedroom, completely torn apart and covered in bloodstains. A completely photorealistic full frontal of a young boy who has been disemboweled. A young girl who has been taped to a chair. Or an illustration of someone taped face down on a table. Volkova also heavily features teddy bears, including one in bondage ropes. She even posted this image with the hashtag Moloch. A picture shared by Volkova depicts a monstrous bear in the process of consuming a girl. Another image features a creepy, dark, moldy room with a goat head on an upside-down pentagram. The common theme is seemingly constantly a child in danger, distress, or pain. She even posts an image that represents the brain's activity during a pain response. She pretty openly posts images of bathhouses, which are commonly used as brothels. One user speculates that she may be bringing these young boys to these locations. Just 2 hours after Curious Light posted the thread about Volkova, her Instagram went private. Granted, if you began receiving a litany of comments and DMs regarding a potentially career-ending scandal, you may act drastically as well. But there's something about Balenciaga and Volkova deleting their entire social media presences that screams they didn't find it all, get rid of any chance they might. Lada Volkova released a statement claiming that she has not worked with Balenciaga since 2017 and had nothing to do with the latest campaigns, but she has maintained a close relationship with Demna, the creative director at Balenciaga. Demna once said in an interview with GQ, someone wrote that Lada, Gosha, and I grew up on CP and radiation from Chernobyl, which is why we're all so fucked up. Just a month before the public backlash, Demna praised the brand's popularity, as well as his own, saying that he's no longer interested in making the fashion industry understand him, because the fashion elite now say hi to him. Jane Mosley walked Demna's first Balenciaga fashion show, which also happened to be Jane's first fashion show, but how could she possibly get the gig? Modeling for the iconic brand Balenciaga, with zero experience. Jane got the gig through her friend, photographer and casting agent Rachel Chandler. When Jane casually mentioned to Rachel that she was kind of interested in getting into modeling, Rachel replied immediately, telling Jane to send her some pictures because she was going to put her up for something. That something turned out to be Demna's first Balenciaga fashion show. Rachel Chandler, daughter of the Chandler family that owned the LA Times for 100 years, apparently holds some mighty influence in the fashion industry, and it's heavily rumored that Rachel narrowly avoided being named publicly in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial as another madam. Pure of young men and women, even children, to take the Little St. James Island. Here's a photo of Chandler, underage at the time, allegedly on the Lolita Express, Epstein's infamous private jet with former President Bill Clinton. Rachel seems to hold a high profile among the rich and famous, but is rather unknown among the general population. Many theorists have speculated that she may have led some to the island through her modeling agency, the Midland Agency. And if I wasn't paranoid enough, during my search for more mainstream coverage of Rachel, this happened. So what did Balenciaga's celebrity ambassadors have to say in response to the controversy? Well, maybe the most well-known, wealthy, and influential would be Kim Kardashian, who released this statement, which many seem to feel was kind of a lukewarm response, as she addresses that there is definitely an issue, but fails to draw any kind of line as far as her future with the company.
Part 4.
Her comments seem to ring quite hollow, as photos of her child surfaced showing them sporting the very items that Kim was now distancing herself from. Demna just copied and pasted the company's apology. I find it highly interesting that major news sites immediately reported on the scandal, labeling it as a conspiracy theory, when the company, representatives, and general public are all reacting to the situation like it is anything but a theory. People are worried for the children in the photos, of course, but if this is what they are showing you, what they are willing to put in front of public scrutiny, what are they hiding in the dark? Trying to wrap this video up feels very frustrating because, like many conspiracy theories, the rabbit hole is full of bad information, exaggeration, censorship, and parts of it are just gone, memory hold forever. There is no answer, only an ever-expanding list of connections to dirty money, trafficking, seemingly overt occult references, and some of the worst predators we've ever heard of. Whitney Webb has described Epstein as middle management in a network full of people just as bad as him and worse. We only ever heard about some of the things he did, and some of the things his madam, Ghislaine Maxwell, did. When you start with BDSM bears with kids, immediately followed by CP Supreme Court document, immediately find associated characters that seem to be very interested in representations of children that are obscene and graphic. I guess you shouldn't be surprised to learn that the creative director of said company is 1 degree of separation from a known trafficking network. If you're paranoid enough, you'd almost think that there's an element within the company that makes these clothes only the rich can afford. Enjoy hiding Easter eggs, little nods and winks for the people with eyes to see, either to signal their friends, because they know people are watching, they'll react, and will eventually cause a media frenzy. Although this one went really far and seemed to work out really for the company, it still could have been a publicity stunt. What do you think of the ad campaign? Was it over the line, or people both in their right minds to be upset over this?
All right, everybody, and that is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, that Balenciaga thing is real. Kim Kardashian spoke about it. I've seen T.I. speak about it. I've seen plenty of other rappers speak about it. There is Cooper Kupp, the previous year MVP for the NFL. So last year's MVP wide receiver. He was speaking up about it. So this is really a dividing thing, even for the celebrities. A lot of celebrities, they don't really like to speak up. But this one was really just too much. There's not really any way that they can go and deny it. And if you are a real one, you are gonna call it out. And so that's what you see. We see a lot of celebrities and a lot of people calling it out. And I will say Kanye West is a bitch though for sticking with Balenciaga. So fuck that guy too. I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to my sponsors over at Tweedle Farms. So visit Tweedle Farms /509 Divine Pines for 20% off your order for hemp tinctures, lotions, oils, a little bit of everything, all flavors and terpenes and cannabinoids. They got multiple strains. It's an amazing thing. They got full spectrum and rainbow spectrum, broad spectrum, single spectrum, whatever you guys want. They got it. Visit Tweedle Farms /509 Divine Pines to activate a 20% coupon code. And also go visit eagle-research.com for 20% off a hydro curing machine. So a water purifying electrolyzing gas machine, the Brown's gas machine. Yes, you can get your Brown's gas machine for 20% off. Use coupon code 509 Divine Pines. And I'm about to go smoke up and watch some 76ers. They're playing the Houston Rockets. James Harden's back in town. You guys have a wonderful night. Hey, Sliver Bass, thanks for being here. Ghetto Bedroom Records, thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys. Hey, Grape Pie and Gelato Jet Fuel sounds like some gas. That nice, relaxing flow, man. That one sounds like it'll just put you in a ethereal mode and you're just, coasting. For me, I got the sativa and I'm flowing. You guys have a wonderful day. God bless. Remember, be blessed and be high.
Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside it, thinking about the present and the future. I'm improving cause I am a trooper, never getting caught up in the loop. Got up out it cause I found the truth. Woke up to a beauty of the day, the sun is shining, so I'm finna stay sitting, soaking up all of the rays, till I feel it surging through my brain like some booger sugar. Did a lot of cane, experimented with it, couldn't name all the times I did it, feeling like a fade. Yeah, I'm really glad that I let it go, cause I gotta be prepped for the time when the plane ride is a new norm. So I know I'm gonna stay high, blaze on the ganja, feeling like I make my music go to another level while I take off. I can't ever stop this, fell in love with it, fit like a glove, so I'm never ever done with it. So now I'm about to rip another beat, ayy. One day I'll make a million in a week, yeah, shooting for the top spot, feel like I'm a hot shot, like I really got a chance with it. I will not flop, somebody gonna make a dance when I pop off, gonna have all the bitches taking all the tops off. I've been feeling like I'm really gonna kill it for the rest of my life, so I've been staying focused. In my soul, I've been feeling like $1 million, so I know that everything is really getting closer. Yeah, no posers, only been hanging with the ones I've chosen. Only all the people that are living in the right way, cause they spending every day growing. Yeah, no whole shit coming in my life and then leaving in a moment. That's the shit I'll never let into my life again, cause lately I've been feeling like I'm golden. Never showboat, I just showcase on my music that I made this far. Always knew that I could be the one that would get this far. Now I'm right here looking in my mirror, trying to figure out if there's any more fear, cause I'm getting rid of it all, yeah, I'm getting rid of it all. Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside it, thinking about the present and the future. I'm improving.